is 6 o'clock, June the 12th. And I guess some of you guys might be wondering, like, what's this call stuff? Well, we've been doing these calls once a week for the last, well, we're going into 8 years now. We're into that 7.5 year mark right now. The number is 1-888-570-7020. 888-570-7020. I know I sound like I'm selling commercials, cars or something. It's so exciting. Anyway, glad you guys are here. Again, like I was saying, we're going to be talking about travel. That's going to be the goal tonight, or the topic of tonight. We're going to be talking about travel. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I see out there. Okay, yeah, I'm going to pick on some people. Yeah, I'm going to hurt some feelings tonight. You know me. But we're going to be lifting you up as well. Okay, so please don't take a position of, don't get your feelings hurt if somebody makes you feel inferior. Okay, take an opportunity and just grow from this. Okay, because you know what, I had to do the same thing. Once upon a time, I had my underwear on my head too, and I was running around all over the place. All right, without further ado, let's take a minute. Let's give thanks to Yahweh. Father in heaven, I just thank you for this opportunity to be here with these wonderful folks here on TikTok, also here in Uber Conference. And I just pray, Father, I lift up everybody that's got a court case, that anybody in America that's got a court case, whether it be CPS, whether it be no matter what it is, Father, I pray that your precious and holy will be done, Father. And I pray that your word continue to abide in us, Father, as we abide in you, Father. We thank you for all the things that you were doing today, and we thank you for the things that you continue to do. We give you praise, honor, and glory in all things, Father. And everybody said, praise Yahweh. That's right, because Yahweh is so good. You know, it's kind of personal when he says that, because you know, when it says it's Yahweh's way, it's his way, and it's not your way. You know, I think Burger King got it wrong. Well, maybe they got it right for burgers, but they got it wrong everywhere else, you know. So I want to welcome everybody that's here on the call. We're going to have some Q&A time. So those of you guys that have questions, if you're on Uber Conference, you can go ahead and type them. There's a little typing bar down there at the bottom. You could type them in, or you can unmute. And if I see you unmute, I will definitely call you. And I just recommend you do that, because sometimes two people unmute at the same time, and then they have like a collision, and we don't want that. We want it nice, easy, and cohesion. So, it says, I'm looking for some help with filing my motion to dismiss with CPS. I'm representing yourself. Well, I'm gonna tell you guys. Let's know who your enemy is, okay? And who is your enemy? People trying to shake you down? Uh-uh. Who's your enemy? Who is your enemy in all this deal? Okay? It's the principalities. It's the darkness that's here in this land. It's the idiot that runs this place. Yeah. That's why. So, here's some really good advice I'm going to give all of you guys as far as court stuff goes. Don't go into court and try to be as nasty and dirty as your spouse, or as CPS is, or anybody else. Go in there, walk in righteousness. You know what? And Yahweh will see you through. Okay? You got to trust him. Because if you're not trusting him, then you're trusting yourself. And that's the worst thing you can do. Yourself, you'll deceive yourself. Your mind will play tricks on you. Oh, yeah. Because it's just that fallible. And James is nailing it right on the head. This path, this fight between good and evil is all about honor and dishonor. Let me tell you, when I see the wheels falling off the cart, that means like when I'm watching one of these cases and it's an interaction between, you know, the citizen that knows his rights and the officer that's just doing his job, or just being a jerk. One of the two. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Nope. That's it. Bye. All right. So it doesn't matter. So what we have to understand is we have to understand who our enemy is and what he's here to do. I think the biggest misconception that people have is that when they see something on the side of their door, like serving the Alamo City, like it says here in San Antonio, the cop cars on the bottom, it says serving the Alamo City. Well, I'm not the Alamo City. He ain't bringing me lunch. Nope. And that means you should have no expectations for them to help you either. None. Because they're not going to. These people are basically, when you're talking about city cops versus county cops have more of an investment in the people. In other words, their job, they're constitutionally driven, or at least they're supposed to be. And that's how they were founded, but things change, of course. And you know, sorry, every time that happens, it always throws me off. Anyway, like I said, these things, we have two different kinds of officers. You have regular officers, which basically are like the San Antonio officers here, and they're serving the Alamo City. They ain't serving anybody else. They don't care about anybody else unless it's related to a business or somebody that owns property. So like a property crime. Okay. But that means you better own a house here. Because if you like rent a house here, they just look at you like you're homeless. Yeah. And they treat you that way too. I know. Firsthand. This is truth. Do you know that there are loans, no matter how good your credit can be, and you can get turned down for it just because you don't own a home? Yeah. See, it's not about the color of your skin anymore. Can I tell you, it never really was. It was all about how they can handicap you. And you need to understand that when you're dealing with someone that's serving the Alamo City, that's exactly what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a contractor. I heard a really good video, and I made a video on it actually this morning on TikTok. And the guy did an amazing job. At first, it was a little bit off because he was a little too mouthy with the cop. And you don't need to be mouthy with the cop. All you need to do, well, there's a lot you need to do. But you should take my class. It's a 3-hour discussion. It really is. But here's what you have to understand is that these guys that are telling you that you're in your private capacity, they're absolutely correct. Here's the problem. They don't understand their private capacity versus their personal liability. They don't understand the difference between those two things. They think, well, if you could just travel freely, then they act like they're in a big wheel and they're just pedaling their little big wheel down the street. The problem is that when you start operating a piece of machinery, you're going to create some liability for yourself. As being a landscaping contractor for a lot of years, I learned that I had to have liability insurance. Good evening, man. And the reason I had to have liability insurance is because I make mistakes. People make mistakes. There are no perfect people out here. Just the ones that think they are. And those people are mentally ill. Okay? Stay away from them. So what I'm saying is that we have to understand that there is a fine line out there on these freeways between traveling and actually driving. So when you are working, you are in a capacity to do commerce because you've already got the cash register open, you see? You're already delivering something to somebody, you're making money. Okay? Right? You're getting paid. Now, let's look at that versus a trip to the old grocery store. Well, can I tell you? It comes down to intent. So you hear a lot of these guys that are out there. And I'm going to tell you, man, 9, 10 months ago, maybe a year ago, nobody in TikTok land was talking about trust. And I'm going to make a video about that, by the way. And I'm going to play the video. I'm going to have it shadowing in the background one of these days. It'll be up there. And nobody was talking about trust. Nobody knew what they were. Now, all of a sudden, we got experts everywhere. They're on every street corner. You got more trust experts out there than you do, the Starbucks. Yeah. It's every time you flip, it's like every two, "Oh, I've got a new trust class and we got to do this and this and this." And I'm like, dude, a year ago, none of you guys knew nothing about any of this stuff. You ready to take another leap? We're going to talk about something nobody else is talking about either. Yeah. How to travel. How do you travel? How do you stay in your private capacity? Do you roll down your window and you tell the people you're traveling inside common law or in common law? I mean, what kind of heckling spell is that? Come on now. You know people out there told you to do that, and you know it's absolutely retarded. It's retarded. So, let me tell you what a narcissist does. A narcissist will take his or her personal responsibility out of the situation. Like, for example, this part is my fault, and they take that part out, and then they look at everything else. And then they try to make their case on that, and they say, "See, it's okay." Why? Because they took personal responsibility and did this. And you know what? That is somebody that has a few screws loose up here. There's something broken up there, and you can't be responsible for that. It's not your fault to fix it. It's not your responsibility to do anything else but to move on. Come on, y'all know you do it. When you see somebody with food in their teeth at the restaurant, you don't walk up to them. "Oh, excuse me. I didn't know you guys were talking, but I just want to let you know there's some carrots in your teeth." Did you ever do that? No. You just look at them and go, "Dang." You just keep walking by, right? All right. Well, that's what we need to do with these fruit cakes too. Every time you see these little state nationals standing out there in their snow cone stand, and they're telling you that, "Oh, you don't have to have a driver's license. Oh, you don't have to have any personal responsibility." And you know what? Ask one of those guys. Uh-oh, somebody got crying. Somebody got upset over here. Oh my goodness. All right. They're being dumb. Now, somebody got upset in TikTok land as usual. They always do. Right when I start to really get going, they're like, "Oh, that's it. We got to take them off the air." But it doesn't matter. It's all going to go on YouTube anyway. So, anyway, you guys can check it out on the House of Yah, or I'm sorry, go to Living Life Without Contracts on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch all of our stuff. So, uninterrupted, by the way. And so, what I'm trying to say is stay away from these people that are telling you to 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 be dishonorable in any way. It shouldn't be. They shouldn't be dishonorable. There's no reason to. Hold on, I'm trying to go back live again. Let's see. Oh, wow. You know, there is just not enough Kleenex out there for all these narcissists, I gotta tell you. But I'm gonna tell you, a narcissist will do this. And then not only that, then they throw their pom-poms on, and then they wanna get you guys all involved. They want everybody to go do it. And look what happened to Kenny. Mhm. We found out what Kenny is, didn't we? And then that Timothy Holsworth guy. Have you guys seen that? That little ad that came out? Yeah. And this SHIT has been going on for like over a decade. I mean, did I not call this one on the head or what? Like, I mean, really, come on. Did I tell you guys this is some deep state, stupid corruption government going after the Trump supporters? Didn't I tell you guys that? I told you guys that, didn't I? And I was right. And look what happened. These guys come over, try to provoke me at my house, and instead they step in their own doo-dah-doo. And then all of a sudden, their backgrounds are wiped. They're all moved out of here. And the Converse Police Department they're still collecting information on them. You got to be kidding me. This is what you call a snitch. Did you hear me, everybody? Big one. It's a snitch. And Timothy Holsworth is another one of those informants. But I had a conversation with one of our students, and he actually knows all these cuckoo birds personally. In 2019, he separated from them, and he told me about Timothy Holmesworth. And he said that when he started finding out that all of these guys are a bunch of pedos, he washed his hands and walked out. Came back to the Freedom page. Said, Yeah, I'm gonna stay over here where it's safe. These guys are crazy. And there's an agenda. And the agenda is to take your sovereignty. Really. These people are trying to teach you things so that they can fund their little trafficking rings, apparently. And I got to tell you, this stuff probably runs pretty deep. I know James has been exposing a lot of what's been going on over in his neck of the woods. And, the people are waking up, man. And I want the rest of everyone else out there to wake up and understand that we're going to get back to travel and driving. I didn't mean to get off base like this, but I'm going to get back to travel and driving. I mean, what you have to understand is that there's three categories, or there's three categories to pull you from the private side, which you're already in. You don't have to change your status to do that. Your car is considered an extension of your house in most states, including Texas. Oh well, James is saying is their idea as state nationals of correcting your status is reducing your standing and status to the property of the District of Columbia. That's correct. And what we have to do is we have to recognize that these three items are literally like switches. They're either on or they're off. Okay. And we're going to talk about this in the travel class even more in depth, but you're if you haven't created any property damage and you haven't had any corpus delicti, you haven't harmed anybody, then there's only one more area they can get you. And that area is intent. If you intended to hurt somebody, see? Aha, see how they twist it? What was your intent? Well, what do people say all the time? Hey, Judge, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to speed. I wasn't meaning to speed at all. It just, you know, happened magically. It was CERN. They flipped the switch. I mean, you know what I mean? People come up with all kinds of stupid stuff. But at the end of the day, that's what that contractor's job is. And what he does is he hides and says that he's here to help you. And I'm going to tell you, once you guys come out of my class, you're going to learn that that guy's there to help himself. He's not there to help you. He doesn't care about you, and he doesn't have to. Go look at the bottom of his door, San Antonio. What does it say? Serving the Alamo City. Well, who in the F is the Alamo City? Who is that? That's a corporation. But we're not that corporation, are we? So the only way to be hooked in, so basically, these city cops are glorified mall cops. Yeah, that's what they are. And their job is to drive around because they get paid for it and police all of the city's investments. That means commercial business owners that are paying them taxes. Do you see the circle? You see why they're protecting who they're protecting? They don't give a loo about you, me, or anybody else. And when they see me coming, they just look at me and I already know I'm screwed, right? Anybody know what I'm feeling? You know why? Go read their door. The door. It says on the door who they're serving. And it's not you. So what does that mean? Does that mean the whole country's against you now? And I'm scaring you from one side of the cage to the other? Are you feeling like you need to run out there and rip your license plates off the cars, send your middle finger picture to the DMV, resend your driver's license, and stick your head back in the hole in the ground? Wouldn't that make you feel better now? And I got to tell you, there's people out there stirring people up to do that very same thing. And that is the dumbest, most ignorant thing you can do. And if you're one of those people, hang up now, please. This call is not for you. However, let's give it a second. See, Yeah, and our sheriff's department and courthouse are both tagged with Freemason symbols. Exactly. So what should that tell you? The reason that they built that big old temple called a courthouse is not to keep you safe. The reason that they wear those little black robes is not because they can't tell the difference between boys and girls, although I do wonder sometimes. The real reason they do all that is because they're getting away from Yahweh. They don't want his judgment. So they built this temple with the steeple and the people. Yep. And then they said, Yahweh can stay out of here. He's over there. And then they color it all up with their little cultic symbols and their pagan stuff and tell you to worship these men and rise and sit down and raise the dead and lower the dead and like windows and then they've got flags and furniture and paint and all kinds of other distractions in there. But guess what you got in there? If you're in there. Are you there to redecorate the courthouse? Because you're in the wrong line of work if you're getting tickets. I'm going to tell you that now. And if you think for a minute that you're going to walk in there and say, excuse me, that is the incorrect flag that you have in here, and you have no jurisdiction now. If you think everybody in the room is going to go, oh, and all hit the ground and start going, oh my God, please forgive us. I'm so sorry. You are deluding yourself. Yes. And those people that told you to do that, they've been drinking the sovereign citizen moonshine too. So let's put this in perspective. Okay. Here's the deal. You are in your private capacity in your car, whether you have a passport, whether you have 2 stars, 3 stars, 15 stars, or no stars. Doesn't matter. You're still in your private capacity. You're still in your house, legally speaking, in a lot of states. That's why in Texas, you can carry a gun in your car. You don't need a permit for that. It's an extension of your home. If somebody's breaking in your car, you can shoot them here because that's an extension of your home. See the connection? Okay. So don't come move to Texas yet. Just look up your laws there. It's probably going to be the same there too, or close to it. Anyway, maybe not if you live in California. No, definitely not if you live in California, Chicago, or any of those other Democratic broke cities. Sorry. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that we have to know who your enemy is, okay? And I think, like I said, the biggest misconception is that these jackholes show up to your door completely in a fraud, and they're there because they care about you. No, they don't. What we know is this: they're trying to trick you and make you believe that there's something going on, that there's some investigation that's happening, and you're in the center of it right now. And this is their job, okay? So what are we doing here? Well, let me tell you what the Masons say. The Masons say, look at our checkerboard floors, and the world is a stage. Everybody acts as such. Ooh. Now, those of you guys that have taken my classes, you're going to hear me say that quite often. The people are acting as such. And then what happens when you have that? You have equity, don't you? So what are these jokers moving in? Are they moving in law? They'll just change the law next year, or they'll write another one. Think about it. Look at the registration laws that are out there. You got laws from the Supreme Court that says, you don't need a driver's license. And then you got the state that says, no, we wrote a law that says you did. And guess what? There's no legal classes, no government classes, no nothing to clarify the people, to bring clarity for the people. Nothing. So what we have is we have this big pile of confusion. And we have all these gurus that think they're so smart because they're 3 sentences ahead of you. They're not any smarter than I am. I promise you that. They're not. And I'm not any smarter than anybody else. I might have some experience they don't have. But as far as what I started with, oh no, I'm no better than anybody else on this call tonight. Nobody. I'm just the same. And believe me, it's the place I like to be. But when we start operating in these cultic matrices, okay, and that's literally what they are, because they'll pull you from one matrix to another matrix, okay, and then they tell you, okay, here's the rules, now act as such, right? You ever seen the videos when you go into court on your ticket and they tell you like the whole breakdown of what everything is, like a whole movie? They even dim in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, they even dim the lights and everything. I was like, ooh, popcorn. And they turn on the microphones and we got all this stuff. Hello, my name is Jack and I'm with the city of Rio Rancho, blah, 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 blah. And they're sitting there and they're putting this whole thing out. And what are they doing? They're programming and they're casting on the people. That's witchcraft. And that's what they do in temples. So going back to what I said earlier, you cannot walk in there with some thing in your head and thinking that they're there to help you, because they're not. They're there to help themselves. If you don't believe me, look at how many people are standing there against the one guy that couldn't drive 55. He was listening to Sammy Hagar. He couldn't help it. I love the song too. I mean, I'm gonna nail it too, man. I'm gone. I'm down the street because I can. They're too afraid to pull me over now. But it's true. Once you learn all this stuff, once you learn how to handle your stuff, and here's what happened to me. I learned all this cute stuff to say to cops, and I'm gonna tell you some of it tonight. And it was like, okay, we're not pulling him over anymore. I'm like, well, why? So I have to ride with my friends now to get pulled over. I mean, I don't. They run my plate, and they're like, oh, never mind, just down the road. And it's because it's an awakening. And these parasites, bottom feeders, they're looking and they thrive on the bottom. That's why you see them these days. They got more tattoos than most convicts do. You notice that? Huh? You can't even tell the difference anymore, really. He's impersonating an officer or a convict or something. Just not right. Just like the whole thing isn't right. And then when they talk to you like, yeah, man, what you want? You're like, oh, yeah, I see the servant. I see the servant in you. That's good. Humility. That's good. You know, you got to be white and old and wealthy to scare these cops. And they're like, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That won't be a problem. Yes, sir. But if they think for any reason there's going to be any weakness, that's what they're looking for. I saw a stop today here in Bexar County, Texas. Shame on you guys, by the way. I know they're watching my channel too, and I don't care. They don't pull me over. Here's proof that you've actually crossed over to the private side. I'm gonna do like one of these little things, like you're a sovereign citizen when you challenge your wife's subject matter jurisdiction when she's having an argument with you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna come up with like a whole list of these guys. I'm gonna really seriously a whole bunch of them. But today, here in Bexar County, I saw some guy get pulled over, and the guy's a complete square. I mean, he's a good dude, man. He is as transparent as can be. And you know what? These people study people. So they know. Like I'm looking at Andrew over here. He looks like a good guy. And they know. They can look you right through and they know that he's good, right? He doesn't have like a bone stuck in his nose. Everything looks on point, right? His car's right. He doesn't smell like weed, I mean, it all looks good, right? And I know it doesn't because he looks like he's on the up and up over there. So, and yeah, see, and I mean, and you show that. And so these these predators, they see that. And I saw today somebody get pulled over for nothing. He said, I kind of saw you swerve into a lane and come back. And then he was like, why don't you come sit in a car with me in my front car seat? Oh, I'm adding this to the travel class. Don't do that. This guy had him sit in the front seat with him while he's writing him a warning ticket. And then he's interrogating him. Where are you going? How far away is that? How much did you make this afternoon? How much was your hotel bill at? Where'd you stay at? I mean, just all kinds of stupid stuff. Get out of the car. You have the right to terminate these interviews. Those of you guys that take my travel and driving class, one of the things that I talk about is if they ask you more than 2 questions, you need to stop them and say, hey, if you're going to ask me any more questions, sir, you're going to need to read me my Miranda rights, and you're going to have to articulate what crime you suspect me of committing. Otherwise, I'm going to sit over here and zip it. See Fifth Amendment. Yeah. You write that little warning ticket, man. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. Don't let me interrupt you. No, no, no. I don't want to be charged with a crime of impeding. So I'll just go sit in my car. Yeah, I might be impeding you. I've seen those guys with the cameras get caught. I mean, come up with something, man, but get out of the car. And I remember what your parents taught you about stranger danger? They are even more stranger because they have guns. Mhm. Now, these are things that we have to think about, okay? We got too many people out there doing this Long John Silver stuff, and it's entertaining and stuff, but the reality is that they're really, really painting themselves into a dishonorable position. And if you've got someone out there that's telling you to do anything that involves dishonor, that says, "Oh, you don't have to deal with that. No, you don't have to answer that," or, "Oh, don't worry about that they sent you." If if any of those things come out of the person that you're talking to, you need to hang up the phone, run, because that person does not have your best interest in mind, and nor could he or she. They don't have the ability. These are things that we have to do when we qualify these people. Those of you guys that have been on my TikTok page, you saw the 73-year-old lady that was on the just what, a month ago. She did her 26-minute rant to the judge and told him her rights, and she spent 23 days in jail. I mean, she was a martyr. She was probably bleeding up there with the who knows. But I mean, just did her whole thing. And all these people at the end are like, "Yeah, she stood up for her rights, man. Yeah, man, that's good, man. That's so good. Yeah, that's so." And I'm like, you know, I see this kind of stuff all the time, and I'm listening to what's going on here. And yeah, she got to talk, but that only worked because she was 73 years old. And when I'm 73 years old and want to talk for 25 minutes, some young man is going to put up with that too. I promise you it. Whether it be in a courtroom, a park bench, somebody's Baptist church, or at a wedding, it don't matter. It's going to happen, and somebody's going to put up with it. So, ooh, we got a bunch of stuff going on over here. So, and Andrew's putting out some good stuff here. He's talking about not discussing their day and stuff like that. And you know what? Change it up a little, because that's somebody else's stuff. Yeah, don't do that. Don't take other people's intellectual property like that. You go live it and you make it your own. So you might want to say something like, "You know what? I don't think I'm required to discuss my day with you. Am I? Sir, am I required to discuss my day with you?" You know what? That's better than saying, I'm not discussing my day with you. See, that's the difference, okay? So when you say something like, and that's a good thing to say. And I've heard that guy say that to people, and he's got his cigarette, he's all and he's all with his window. And maybe the whole cigarette thing works, but I don't smoke, and that's just not gonna work for me. This is not gonna work. So you need a contract. One of the things I'm gonna teach you in my class, it's on the 16th and 17th, is how to contract with these idiots. Oh, I'm sorry, with the demons. I didn't mean to say idiots. I meant to say demons. I mean cops. I mean demons. Yes. Anybody that tries to cast on you, do not pull out your law book and show these people that they know more than you. Come on, guys. How many of these videos do we have to see everybody that does this, they fall on their face? Everybody. How many times does the cop say, "Oh, you know what? You got me there, man. You know what? You're right. Come on, come down over here. Let's pray together. I'm really sorry, man." Man, hey, you know what? Rose Red. We need to put me over here right now. We need to all say we're sorry to this guy right now. This is a bad deal, man. I just so bad. And I mean, really, honestly, that never happens because you're dealing with a liar. You're dealing with an unrighteous person, and that's another place. See, they act like they're your friends, and they act like they're operating on a certain standard that they're really not operating on. So you have to treat them as such. You continue to contract. One of the things that I saw in the stop that I watched today is that This man, not the one where he sat in the car, but the other one today where he actually just contracted with this guy. Why do I have to show you this? Where can you show me where I have to show you this? And then this lady starts piping off saying, well, there was somebody speeding up there. I mean, I'm sure somebody in America was up there speeding, but it wasn't him and it wasn't anybody that you saw. So you're just making stuff up. And that's what narcissists do. Narcissists will always create the narrative. And then when you catch them, they're going to make it all even. Oh, well, you can take a little over here and I'll take a little over here. And we'll just, I mean, it could have been like, one of those other cars that are up there. What is he doing? What are they doing? They're trying to make it all even. They're acknowledging that you just punched them in the gut. And now they're trying to make it all even. Why? Because they're liars and they're spellcasters. You ever notice that you have that cold feeling when you go into court and you'll say anything to just get out of there? I mean, that's why people pay. Seriously. They're like, oh man, no man, I'm good. I just want to get out of there. I'll pay the $59, And I mean, and then if the judge is like, has your expectations up here, they're like car salesmen. Then they close you down here in the Foursquare. I know I spent 23 years in the car business, and these guys all act like car salesmen with guns. For real. Anyway, and they're just as stupid too, trust me. So they'll start way up here and say, that fine can take you up to 25 years in jail for throwing that can out your car window. And did you know that I could hold your testicles for 49 days here in this here jail? Did you know I could do that? And they'll tell you this in a bit, but I'm going to be a nice guy today. And I'm going to let you make it with a $20 court cost. You're like, sold. You know what? They just sold you. They sure did for $20. Sold you out for $20. At least if they punked you for like a $600 ticket, at least it was like something, you know what I mean? But literally, you sold out your truth for $20. And many people do. Many people lie because they have the inability to negotiate. Let me say that one more time. Many people lie and misrepresent things because they have the inability to negotiate. True story. People walk out on the car lot. What do they say? Oh, we're just looking. When I was in the business, I used to tell people, hey, you know what? If you go to the mall, they got a bunch more of them. You got tons more and more brands too. And they got those scratch and dent ones over there in the corner. You'll catch them right up front with the handicapped people. Let me know how it goes. I spent a lot of years in the car business, too many years. And I got to tell you, listen, if you want to beat these guys, contract with them. Okay, I'll do this if we do this. Sir, I need to see your driver's license. Great. Let's talk about this stop real quick. I just got a few little questions, and then I'll get your stuff. What are you doing? Are you getting in the way of his investigation? He hadn't even said there was one yet. What are you doing? Contracting. And if you're contracting, you're in control. If you guys know Alex, he's our MMA fighter. He is funny as all hoo-hoo. He's from Ecuador, right? So and he's my contractor. I love this dude. I mean, because he's like the nicest guy in the world. Just take him out to eat somewhere, hey, man, you want to go eat? Yes, let's go eat. And he has a great accent. We all go out to eat. I can understand that much of what he says sometimes. Most of the time, it's like that much. But anyway, he's a really nice guy. He's very sweet. He loves Yahweh. He's just a bubbly guy. I'll take him out to eat, right? He doesn't order anything off the menu. He tells people what he wants. And you know what they do? They just bring it to him. You know why? Because he's not reading their menu. He's not trying to contract with them. He's telling them to contract with him. And because we got all these other people and the guy with the wallet over here, you better do what he says. And so he knows the variables. And he's smart. You got to know your variables when you're pulled over too. And I'll teach you this in this class. It's very, very cool. It's the best way to do this. Another part of this class that we're going to talk about too is administrative claims. Anybody ever heard of bond court? You know why? Because nobody's talking about it. Because they don't know anything about it. They're still all trying to get everybody's oaths of offices. Here's a whole bunch of them right here. And that's for Houston County, Texas. Like the whole courthouse. That's all their oaths of office, all of them. And we have a lawsuit pending too. And the sheriff can't carry a gun anymore, and there's no cops there anymore. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So administrative claims are very powerful. And when you call these guys out and they do things they're not supposed to do, you get to give them a. And you know what? You're the boss. But you have to speak so that you can be heard. And if they don't hear you, they won't respond. But when they do hear you, guess what happens? They still don't respond. They get scared and they start doing other things. They start moving furniture in their house, painting it blue or something. I don't know what's going on over there, but that's essentially what they do. They start literally just doing stuff. And if we stay on the side of righteous, we can't lose. Because here's what's cool about truth. And this is why I say stay away from the temptation of trying to be as ugly as they are. Because sometimes we'll look at a situation, ooh, I can take advantage. I can get in there and get it. Yeah, and really get it. And that was that car business thing that was still in me that was doing that for a lot of years. And I lost a lot of cases because I started out right. But then when I learned how crappy my opponent was and how evil he was, maybe I can be as evil as he is. So then I started sharpening up my sword. And guess what? Yahweh left me at the porch. There you go. Have at it. Because there's a way that seems right unto man. There sure is. And at the end of the day, and only because I learned it personally, I will tell you, you walk into that temple without Yahweh, you're done. Forget not passing the bar. You walk into the double doors and they shake you down and make you take your undress and everything right there. I think we should all just show up to court in robes and underwear. Really. Just to show up like that. No, I'm not getting dressed and undressed. It's too much work. I mean, think about how much work they have all this stuff for court attire and this thing that we have to do. And then we do this whole public exercise of let me touch your crotch. Let me look in your bag. Let me look in your stuff. And then take it all off and put it all back on. Wow. What is that? Oh, it's a minor inconvenience. No, no, no. It's training. They're teaching you to submit before you even go into the courtroom. I'm sorry. It's conditioning. There, that's the better word. Sorry. My synonym little thing was broken in the corner over here. Sorry. Now it's working again. Yes. That's what it is. Definitely. And we're losing. We're losing. Another thing I'm going to talk to you guys about in my class, besides administrative claims and how much fun it is, and I've actually done it, is we're going to talk about equity. Now, most people, when you say equity, let's call a realtor. That's the first thing everybody's head goes to, right? Right? It's true. Because why? Well, equity is based on the performance of the people. Okay. It's not a matter of how much they paid, it's a matter of did they pay it? And did they pay that dollar amount? See, it's about performance. So let me give you a scenario about law and equity where they don't, where they do this. Go look at the freeway. Next time you get on the freeway, go look at the speed limit. Get in the fast lane. Go try to do the speed limit. See what happens. You will see half the city's middle fingers or more. Oh, yes, you will. And here's what you won't see. You're not going to see those state nationals calling in the National Guard to go scoop up all these speeders that have now broke the law. And we're going to bring them in because it's the legal thing to do. Because we studied the law. We had that Wednesday night thing and we all studied up. Yeah. No. No. Here's what. Here's why. The law says 65, let's say. And the people said 85 if you live in Dallas. They said 85. And guess what the cops said? Everybody's acting as such. That's called equity. So what did the cops try to do in the stop? What did I say earlier about the checkerboard floors? I do a lot of sarcasm, but the checkerboard floors, the world is a stage, right? So their job is to set up the scenario, to create the stage, to make you believe that you did one of those three things. You either cause property damage because you probably hurt his feelings. You ever notice that the cops always pull their feelings out? Oh, my feelings, like they matter. We're not in your living room, hot rod. We don't give a shit about your feelings. Excuse my language, but still, I mean, who cares, man? But you know, it's funny how they'll ask for all this sympathy like a Hallmark card. They will. And this will show you how demonic they really are. You don't believe me? Go talk to somebody's spouse that's been married to one of these apes, and they'll tell you all about it. They've been up, down, inside, out. They've probably been interrogated in the glove box. Who knows? With all their paranoia. Get your hands out of your pockets. No, no, honey. Don't look at me like that. Take your hands out of your pockets, please. It's for officer safety, of course. And they wonder why they got stuck with the fingernail file. I don't know. It was an accident. It happens. It's true, though. It's really true. So, what you're going to learn in this class is you're going to learn equity. You're going to learn how equity applies and how to use it, how they're using it, more importantly. Now, I just gave you a scenario. That was for free, of course. And they're going to set the stage. The first thing is they're going to turn on the emergency lights, right? And the first thing you need to do is be looking out the car window for some potholes. Were you trying to warn me about something? Oh. No, the reason I pulled you over today is because you were doing blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I don't see anybody else pulled over or detained. So did I leave like 9 bodies back there or something? Oh, certainly not. No, certainly not, sir. Oh, no, no, no. You're just a little bit over the speed limit. Okay. Do you believe I intended to do that today, officer? What are you doing? What are you doing when you say stuff like that? You're breaking his programming. You know what these ding dongs do every day? They say the same thing over and over and over and over again. If you don't believe me, go talk to a waitress. My daughter's a waitress. She works at Olive Garden. You know what she does? Says the same stuff over and over and over again. And it's 1 through 22 and the check. You know what I mean? Would you like a little dessert? You know what I mean? And that's it. So you need to recognize that. And you need to recognize that you're not special. Only to your mother and only to Yahweh. In the car, you're not special at all, unless your mother's there. And if that's the case, well, then unleash your mother on them. Just let them have it. That's what I say. I have a little short Italian mom, and he'd probably let me go. I don't even like getting talked to her by her. So I'm just telling you, if you got one of those, get them on the phone, put them on speakerphone, do whatever you can to disrupt their programming. Because the better you disrupt their programming, the better chance you're going to leave there with no ticket. All right. So let's talk about strategies. All right, man. I'm going to open up the phone lines here. If you guys have questions or comments, feel free to ask them. The bad news is we're still off of TikTok here, but go ahead and ask your questions. If you guys have questions about travel and driving, any of this stuff, I'm happy to answer them. I'm liking what's going on over here in the in the messages though, James. And that's really the catch 22. James is nailing it right on the head there. He says if you're traveling, you just got to stay in the private. The minute they try to pull you into their jurisdiction, you got to find out ways to pull yourself back into your jurisdiction. Put yourself back in front of the TV. I'm just watching TV. What you talking about? You've got to put yourself there. Yeah. And then play stupid. Uh-uh. Mm-mm. I had a guy that used to work for me, and he'd go into court, and they were like, "Sir, do you have a computer?" He'd be like, "Uh-uh." Do you have a smartphone? Mm-mm. And sure enough, he really didn't. He had a little beep 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 little Obama phone. He was like, "No, it does nothing." What can he do? So what I'm saying is, you know what? Feel free to just play as dumb as they are. You know what? Go as far as you feel like that turkey's gonna go. Really, you don't have to assist in their stuff. But here's what you don't want to do. You do not want to directly oppose them. So when you start laying out ground rules, and these are good ideas, by the way, but the delivery is what I would work on. Why did you pull me over? Mm. I would maybe say that a little differently, but I think the nuts and bolts of it are good. I'm not discussing my day. We discussed that already. Excuse me. Am I being detained or am I free to go? Okay. So when do you pull that question out? You ever notice that you see people on? I notice that I see people all the time. They'll say like one thing. Can I go? Like they give them like no chance. Like no, no, no. Can I? Am I free or can I go? Can I can go now, right? I can go now. Really? Hey, hey, I have. You know what? Just keep my license, man. Can I go? Please, can I go? You ever notice these guys? One of these days, I bet you they do leave their licenses with the cops, and the cops are like, "Oh, he'll come back," and they will. So, now and then this number 4 when he wrote in was, "I invoke the Fifth Amendment." I think that goes back to you need to have a reason to invoke the Fifth Amendment. If you feel like he's interrogating you, you need to tell him you are. If you feel like he's hitting on you, ladies, you need to tell him he is. I'm serious. Sir, I don't mean to be distracting on your day, but these are off limits, man. And then they're certainly not part of this stop. Anything to break their programming. Anything. Ladies, anything. Come on, y'all saw Cannonball Run. Works. Remember the two girls in the Lamborghini? That's right. Zip, zip, zip. It works. So, what are we going to do in this process? How are we going to win on this? We got to know where we are. And we also need to know that if we do hurt somebody out there, we need to be ready to take care of it. Like, not with our good intentions, not with, well, David said we could just put this indemnity bond with 21 pieces of silver in our glove box. No, no, no. I'm talking Allstate so everybody can cash that check. You need to make yourself available. If you're going to be out on these roads, you've got you could hit it. You could hit somebody. My son literally has had 2 accidents, and neither one of them were his fault. I mean, neither one of them. But my insurance company has literally paid off 2 cars in the last 60 days. No kidding. So, but what if I didn't have that responsibility? What if I was traveling and I had the $35 plate club on the back of my car? It says no insurance required. Guess what? I'd be a real crappy provider. I wouldn't be taking care of my family. I wouldn't take the extra safeguards that are available for people that are traveling, okay, that could get involved into a commerce situation. I'm ready to do that. And this is what we have to be ready to do. But the narcissist doesn't do that. The narcissist says, I don't want to pay for insurance anymore. So I'm going to take this out of the equation. All right. Now I'm traveling. Let's get some $35 plates. Let's do it. Let's go give our finger to the cop. Yeah, because that works, right? That's got to stop. All that stuff's got to stop. We got to stop all this gaslighting. That's what that is. That's gaslighting. And that's called casting too. It's witchcraft. It has nothing to do with Yahweh. Shows no fruits of the spirit at all. One of the reasons that I said a prayer for everybody that's in court right now is because we need it. You guys need it. We all need it. And we need to have that foundation in our life that says this is right. This is what we're supposed to do. This is the most honorable thing to do. Those of you guys that take my debt and foreclosure class, I'll give you an example. So my bank says it's 5 days after my payment's due, and now all of a sudden my payment just doubled. Now, what would most people do? They call the 1-800 I'm pissed off number, and they would like, hey man, when is my payment? Blah, blah, blah. Contractors don't do that. Contractors see that as an opportunity because we've either breached the contract or there's something in this contract that hasn't been explained to you. Either way, that's a breach. Those of you guys that learn anything about your electronic signature, you know that you can rescind that electronic signature lawfully under public law. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to do that properly. And you go, and once you do that, there's no more consent. And when you have no consent, you have identity theft. That's right. That's exactly what you have. You have identity theft. And then now we've got some administrative remedy. Now we've got some things that we can do. So these are things that we're going to talk about in the class that's coming up. My debt and foreclosure class is all about contract law. It's all about operating honestly. It's all about operating in our common law capacity, not rolling down the window, but actually doing it. Did you know that we don't have any common law courts here? Did you know that? Did you know that all of these Article 1 courts and whatever else they've got charading around your neighborhood and your city? That whole charade that's going on right now is literally just that. It's a charade because they want to control your ability to do law. Well, and more importantly, they want to monetize your ability to practice law. Because once they convert it to their legalese, now we have cohesion. Now we have the parties acting as such, don't we? Because now people have consented. What have they done? I filed my divorce papers. Well, you went and took them to the wrong court because that court is for corporations. It's not for me. It's not for anybody else that's here today. They're not. These are our courts right here. This is called a firm mailing book. You know who's in charge? You know who's running this show? Besides Satan? And besides the Vatican? And besides, no, really, who's really running the show here is the Postmaster General. When you start doing all your work through here and you have performance through here, doesn't matter what they come at you with. It's all been asked and answered. It's all been asked and answered and received and witnessed. See, what happens when you go to court? Oh, I'm going to go to court and we're just going to do a bunch of talking. And then they do a bunch of talk, right? And then you show up and you're out of there. You're 10 grand less than what you had when you came in. Your lawyer tells you, well, we have to make the other side happy. And then we have to make the judge happy. And then you get whatever's left over. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Do you feel like you got anything done with that? Well, during the 1980s, there was actually a depression with the court systems. That's right. People were not believing in the courts anymore. They were starting to see the nonsense. So what did they do? They put Judge Judy on TV. They started putting all these court shows on TV. Why? If you've got a problem and no one else can help, it's not the A team anymore that you call. You go to Judge Wapner's court. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I mean? Hold on, I might have some gay music here on that. I might, maybe. No, I don't. Never mind. But you know what I'm talking about. That's what happens, and they glamorize it. I know. I was on Judge Joe Brown. Really? Yeah, season 1, episode 12 or episode 13, actually, if you want to look that up. And I did a very good job. But I learned a lot about how all this stuff really works. And number one, everybody that's on all those judge shows, every one of those claims are paid out by the TV show. Did you know that? They write a check. Yes, they do. So not only do you get to barbecue your spouse on live TV, but they also make them pay too. You ever notice why they're never pissed off they have to pay? Well, if we got to pay it, I guess we got to pay it. Yeah, it's true. And this was right before the 9/11 thing. And I was in Judge Joe Brown's court. And I had a really filthy habit. I used to smoke cigarettes back then. And so I know, right? You can never tell nowadays. But anyway, yeah, I know. That's Yahweh. He washed it all away. Not Jesus. Yahweh did this. And anyway, so I had to sneak out. So there I am in downtown Hollywood, and I'm sneaking out, and I'm heading outside, and I do my little 2 minutes of fame out there. I smoke my little cigarette, and I come back in, come firing back in to hurry up and sneak back up to get up in the waiting room and eat some donuts, and I run right into Judge Judy. She's about 4'11", really, really small, loud, very loud. Said I stepped on her foot, said I should get where I'm supposed to be and get out of her way. I agreed with her. Got the hell away from her. I didn't know she was real fake, what they would do. I don't know if that cop in there's got real guns or not. You don't know. So, you don't even know. You just don't even know these days. It's like they'll give a uniform to anybody these days. Look at these UN guys that have showed up. They give them uniforms too. I mean, we got people showing up in Texas, and I think they're giving them uniforms. I don't even know what for, but they're doing something. I'm telling you. And all this talk in Texas uh about the whole National Guard stopping all this stuff that's coming in. They're not. They're just checking in more people. That's all. And they're checking in more people because they're trying to wash out the Trump supporters in this country. Yeah. And then what are they doing with the other half of the Trump supporters? They're telling them to go sign AORs. Hey, man, why don't you take your citizenship and throw it away? Sell your birth certificate. Open a familia trust, even though you're Asian, and nobody will ever believe that you have a familia trust. It's like he's Asian, though. He would never say that, but they do. They do. What they got going on over there. And then they think that they can come back and come get these securities and stuff after they've told the Social Security Department that, we don't need the social anymore, and the IRS, we're not going to be paying taxes anymore. And my wife is a tax preparer. And I got to tell you, we read it together. If you disable yourself like that and you tell them and you make a statement like that, it says, I don't want to pay taxes, they can throw you out of this country. And they have. We had a guest on last week that was talking about a friend of his that did this whole uh, American. Actually, it was the one that started it was Anna Von Wright, and then because she was trying to get everybody to get on this big database, that was oh so private, which is not private at all. It's like completely the other way. Um, anyway, she was trying to get people on this whole thing and turning people into little sheriffs and cops. And I think David's got some little badges or something he plays cops and robbers with. Well, I guess he's not. I guess Bonnie and him can't play cops and robbers anymore. They took her gun and they took his badges. So I don't know, man. I don't know what they're playing with these days, but it should be interesting. We should check in with Anna, see what they're doing over at Planned Parenthood. Maybe they cooked up a new idea over there or something. Who knows? But I gotta tell you, man, these people, there's a real agenda out there to really stir the pot in this country and to cause civil unrest. So rather than fixing and people that want to cause civil unrest are people that are incurably broken. And it's because they don't see they have they don't have the skills, problem solving skills. They just don't have them. And because they don't have them, they think everybody else doesn't have them either. So, because they're so superior to everybody else. So they get all kind of puffy in their heads and stuff. And then they get the underwear on their heads. And then they drink the sovereign citizen moonshine. And then now they're down the street. Now they're not paying their house payments. Now their whole lives are getting repossessed, including their kids. And why? Because you're in dishonor. But the situation we were in wasn't fair. That might be true. And I'm going to agree with you. But you can change that situation without being dishonorable. I learned through this process that I teach in my class to be an honor with these officers, to be an honor with the local municipalities here. And you know that you're an honor with them and you're doing things really the right way when they don't even want to hear your cases. When people try to file cases against you, and there's no lawyers here that'll take a case against you. This has happened more than once. A year and a half ago, I foreclosed on a bank, took their car from them, and they searched and searched and searched all over San Antonio, tried to find a lawyer to come after me, and they couldn't find anybody. So they hired some guy from Houston, and he's no longer a lawyer at all. So when you start laying down good tracks and you start laying down solid behavior, what happens is all of those things, like the driver's license, those things start to become an asset. When you're in dishonor and you're getting tickets all the time, you're getting sued all the time, you're in court all the time. All of that stuff shows up on your driver's license, on your background. So these people that are telling you guys to, oh, the driver's license is a slave contract. Well, maybe for them, because they've already burned every bridge in America. They can't stop drinking and driving. They won't, they ran over somebody or something dumb like that. I mean, this is really out there. And these cars are really heavy. And there's no airbags on the outside. All the airbags are just on the inside, right? Right? Go ahead, brother.
Can I ask? Okay.
Of course.
I've had some experiences that are relevant, and I want to hear what your thoughts are on
Okay.
some of this. So I had my license suspended due to an alcohol infraction, right?
Okay.
And it like they kept doing it, right? And I guess I could have learned a thing or two, but in my mind, if I'm not causing loss, injury, or harm to another individual and I'm responsible, then drinking and driving is technically a natural right. And so if I know that I'm not intentionally going to cause anybody harm and I know my limits, then it's nobody's business what state my biology's in. And so, I'm not trying to be conflicting with God or anything like this.
No.
But
I agree. If you can handle your stuff and you're not driving like a bonehead, drink away.
Right. Okay, but some people want to put you in, cells because of this and prisons and stuff. And so, I have felt like that. You mentioned like the situation we were in was unfair, and I actually am a recovering Anna von Reitz follower and coming back out into something. And so I sent the IRS the letters and things, and I'm trying to get back on track with things, and stuff. And but my thought is, I drive by cops every day now, and nobody's telling me anything. I've done certain things that I think I'm rambling, Tim, and I apologize. I guess
No,
I'm just
it's
trying
okay.
to
It's
say
okay. Just shake the bowl out. You'll get it out, man. It's all right. Go ahead. You're
cool,
good.
man. Cool. Okay, so I guess what
No
I'm
judgment here.
thank you. I'm working my way and I'm doing steps, but my perception, because I've got a United States passport. I did it the copper moonshine method way, and I've tried to be compounding certain evidences of me establishing a different. I don't want to contract with the state with that driver's license because of the record that you're mentioning.
Well,
And
it's not really a contract. What it is it's like a backboard. It tells them who and what you are. So if you're a nobody and they don't know who you are, then you could be Gaddafi. They don't know. But what I teach in my class is that we file stuff and that stuff sits on top of everything else. So when I say we lay good asphalt from here on out, that means we can't necessarily make the past go away because I don't know what the past is, but we can lay good road from here on out and you notice and things like that and to protect you and to give you some adverse protection in case they decide to do something dumb, and they do. Trust me, they've got 70 IQs. They got nothing else better to do but do stupid dumb stuff. So anyway, go ahead, continue. What else are your concerns?
Well, my concern is that, and I want that. I want to build solid ground from here and solid asphalt from here. Here's a fun one. It was, I'll come up with the joke for next time. But is the past the police's fault? No, that's your own asphalt. Right. Anyway, so, my point though was I had this determination to essentially eliminate that record and replace it with this passport one. And so I give them the passport instead of the driver's license. My thought is this is where all of the nasty past history of my driving record is. And on this, it's do not detain, do not, and like just there is nothing there. More respect is my thought there, or more, and that has been my experience at least so much so far, to not carry this ID, this
Mhm.
one instead, and it kind of,
Well,
I'm not sure what
it
you're
keeps you out of commerce. So, like I said, there's always an opportunity. So in my person, and again, and nobody ever pulls me over anymore, but they just don't, because I did that thing. And so when they run my, they're like, oh, never mind. Lower hanging fruit to the left, please. They just go, and
okay.
that's where you want them to do. So you gotta ride that little bit of lightning with them, I guess is a better way to say it. And so in your
It's
situation,
inspiring.
I think that it's you, so they're going to be able to pull your information, your driving information from your name and date of birth once they search it. So the passport doesn't really do anything other than it tells the officer, "Hey, I'm in my private right now and I don't see any victims and I didn't have any intent to do anything." So based on this based on the current demographic, yeah, that's what you get. And if he says, "Well, I want a license," well, then you better show a crime, you better show this, and you better show that. And if you can't show any of those things, that's what you get.
Okay.
That might be a good way to deflect some of that. And then of course, they may write you a ticket for not giving him a driver's license. Well, okay, fine. That's a really easy ticket to beat. It actually really is, because then now you have to fulfill the 1, 2, 3. And if there's no 1, 2, 3, then you just get the one. And that's that little middle finger that we like to use. You just get the one. See,
Awesome. So,
that's
Tim, I
go
wanted
ahead.
to just give you some praise and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much because it's sounding like there is a way to remain in the private while actually having the driver's license and driver's license plates, which are two things I don't have, and I'll be eligible to get this fall. But I've been struggling with how do I live life without those things. It's so, and so thank you, Tim. And I'm gonna be following you very closely because maybe what
You
you're
ever seen
doing
these?
is what I'm. Yes. Awesome, dude.
So,
Cool.
so I did these for 2.5 years. I totally had these on my look. You can see how faded they are. Look, see how dark this one is. Look how faded this one is.
Wow.
So these were on my vehicle for 2.5 years. Okay. I would love to, you guys, those of you guys that take my class, I'll go through the benefits both ways. I'll tell you, and literally, we did not go home. Our stuff was put in storage in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we traveled all the southern states for 2.5 years with a van and a 30-foot RV with these guys. Not one ticket. And how many stops? Not one.
Wow. Okay.
Not one. So I've perfected that too. So I'm gonna tell you, I've done it both ways.
Cool.
And what I've learned is that you can balance the two and you can still stay in the private. You just have to know where that speed line is. You got to know what the officers are trying to do. And the biggest deception is that they show up to your door like they're here to help you. They're helping themselves. You just you almost need to just put that, put a little post-it note on your car that says a little flashy light, draw like a little cop flashy light, and say they are here to help themselves. Just put that on your little thing and you'll know. And I mean, I'm serious. And I mean, it's true. And then lots of other things. There's just lots and lots of other things that we talk about in the class too. A camera in your vehicle. Really good thing to have. If you have a camera in your car and you're documenting things, you got about a 10% chance of a ticket. 10%. If you can keep your flapper shut, you got 5 to 10% that you will not get a ticket if you have a camera in your car. If you are speeding in your car and
Ooh.
you have a camera in your car that's visible and you don't drive a hoopty, it's more than likely you will not get stopped. I have done it. I have flown past these officers at like 15 over. I cut them off sometimes. I don't mean to. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I just don't care. But it took me a while to get used to what the rental car, with the little mall cops driving around here in San Antonio, because I was up in Albuquerque and various other states. So, you just kind of look for the lights, and sometimes here in San Antonio, they travel around with those little hologram things on their car, and you don't know what they are. You don't know if they're selling candy, or if they're a gang unit, or if they're a constable, or something else that's even scarier. You don't even know. You just know that they have guns in the car, and I don't care. I just cut them off, and you'll see them run the plate. Uh, then they just go the other way. That's what you want to be. You want to give notice to the public that you're nobody's chump.
Awesome.
And when these guys pull you over, that's what they're looking for. They're looking to see if you're somebody's chump. They're looking to see, why do you think they ask you all those questions like, have you ever been arrested before? And you feel like you have to ask them, you have to answer them. And you could just tell them, you know what, respectfully, I really don't think that's really within the scope of this stop right now. Right now, I see a police car that's really designated as an emergency vehicle, and I see nothing emergency related going on here. I think you have quite the burden to prove, young man. But I'll sit over here and wait for you. You just let me know when you get back to your little car and your little hot rod, and go turn that stuff off, by the way. And go get a supervisor too. You're stupid. And if you start asserting yourself and you have to put on your parent hat, I'm going to tell you, and I talk about this in my class, but if you put on your parent hat and tell them what to do and treat them like little kids, especially when you catch them in any little ounce of dishonor, they will go back and turn those lights off for real. They will do it, man. My buddy in Albuquerque did it. Again, I don't get pulled over, so I had to go ride with him to get pulled over. So yeah, we get pulled over, and I mean, we're doing like 90 in a 45. Oh, there's a cop. And I'm like, God, we're gonna go to jail. And sure enough, man, do you know how fast you were going, buddy? Don't you know? Excuse me. You need to lower your voice and go turn off those lights. There's no emergency going on here. That dude stopped like you took away his lunch money. He had nothing left. And he went back to his car. He turned off his lights. He came back with a different attitude. No warning. Can you just slow it down, please? And by the way, he had these plates on. He had these plates on. Hmm. Why? How did it work? Why did it work? Because everybody was noticed. Because everybody received the notice. And here's what you're going to see with a lot of these gurus out there. And I say gurus because they all look like Austin Powers to me. They're always talking about stuff that isn't there. You ever notice if somebody lies enough, they can fill up a stadium? You ever notice that? Remember Billy Graham? He can lie to people like crazy. He can fill up 40 stadiums. You ever seen that guy? Joel Osteen. He lies to people every Sunday morning, 4 times in the morning, and fills it up. Boom, 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 boom. He fills it up so high, there's no room for the homeless people. That's how full it is. It's true. It's true. And you know it's true. And these people, they're just lying to people. So when these people tell you that you can get out of something, that you don't have to pay for it, be weary. Weigh everything. Everything. And you know what? If some guy is talking about unicorns and satellites and UFOs, ask him for some Polaroids. It's okay. It's good. It's normal. And if he gets pissed off, if he still won't tell you his real name because his name is 74 Hot Rod or something like that, or what's that other guy, Big Steppin' Ya? Like, dude, you've been big stepping in something else because you just you shouldn't even use Yahweh's name like that. But anyway, yeah, there's some cuckoo bird named Big Steppin' Yah. And he's all, yeah, we out here, we all stepping everywhere, and we doing this and we doing that. And he talks just like that. He really does. I think I got him down pretty good. Anyway, but he gets mad at me. He tells me, and that's a racist cracker right there. That guy right there. He's always racist. And I could tell he was brought up racist. Dude, I'm Italian. I'm not even white, stupid. It's just like, and my glasses, he picked on my glasses too. I was just like, these are the Ray-Ban glasses, the ones that take pictures and all that. You're really gonna pick on my glasses? Really? Okay. Okay. That's good. That's real grown up, big stepping, yeah. So you got a lot of these guys out there that are doing this, but they're lying to you. They're telling you things that cannot be done. Okay. Would you take financial advice from a hobo? I wouldn't. Why? Oh, that's just being so judgmental, Tim. No, it's not. It's looking at his fruits. He has no fruits. He has no wisdom to show that what he's saying is real. So when you see these guys talking to you with a third grade education and you see that they're all tatted out and they've obviously been through the system and they've got more gold on than Zales, they're fronting. That's what they call it. They're fronting. They're trying to show you that they're a person of substance when really, it's all bullshit. I can say that. This is an over 18 call. You know that it's not true. You can look at these people with a fair amount of discretion and know that they're not making a good presentment. No, it's not credible. Why are we listening to these people? David Straight ran around this country, stole money from thousands of people, hustled them out of $200,000 worth of license plates, hustled America out of $200,000 worth of fake license plates that says he's private, but they stick out. I know we're going over tonight, but we're going to do it for a reason. There's a reason. This has to stop, America. We have to realize that we need to love our country. We need to fall in love with our country. And more importantly, we need to fall in love with Yahweh. This country was founded on these very things that I'm talking about today, these very ethics. This is what we were supposed to be doing. When I was in school and I was in government, this is what they said was going on. It wasn't. Because people that have a lot of power are corruptible. It's not easy. It's not easy having all that power. If you don't believe me, open up your Bibles. Go back and read about the kings of the Old Testament, the ones that failed, even the pagan kings, all of them. The power destroyed them. Yahweh in closing, Yahweh is our ancient boundary stone. The Ruha HaKodesh, which Christians call the Holy Spirit, but it's called the Ruha HaKodesh. That is the Spirit of Yahweh that dwells on this earth. You're not going to have a relationship with Jesus tonight. I'm not going to ask you to do that because he's doesn't exist. Now, the Messiah sits at the right hand of the Father, and his name is not a Greek name. His name is Yeshua, and he sits at the right hand of the Father, and he's really busy right now, and you can't have a relationship with him either. But who you can have a relationship with is our Comforter and our Elohim, and his name is Yahweh. His name is not God. And I'm going to tell you, every man that's on this call tonight and that's listening tonight that knows his Father knows his names, all of them. He knows the first one, he knows the middle one, the last one, and all the bad names that grandma calls him too. They know all those names. So if we're still running around calling our Elohim God, I'm here to tell you that's not a very specific name. And that's not his name. That was taken out. It was changed in our Bibles and has been that way. It's been part of our culture for a long time. There's a fire that's burning right now, and Yahweh's people are waking up. And I want you to wake up. I want you to look around and realize this government isn't going to save you. This government isn't going to help you when your marriage isn't working. This government doesn't write your paychecks. You hear me, Patrick? This government doesn't write your paychecks. Yahweh writes your paychecks. Whoever you serve writes your paychecks. Let me just say that more specifically. Whoever you serve, that's who makes your paychecks. I know a lot of people that know their bosses. They can tell you what kind of house they live in. They brag about it, what kind of cars they have, what kind of stuff they have, but they know nothing about their Elohim. That should tell you who they're serving. So those of us that are running around and we're still calling God, God, open your word. Get to know who he is. He's a powerful, powerful ally. And when your bank account's running low, when your spirit's running low, he'll do anything for you as long as you obey him. I learned this process because I humbled myself to Yahweh and I said, Yahweh, I will do anything that you want me to do for the rest of my life, but I have to know how this court system works. And I have to know all of these other things. And I still got a list. He's still working on it too. And I'm working on my list too. It's long. And you know what? He's very patient. He's kind. He's long suffering. And he waited 40 years for me to come around. So the least I can do is put in that time with him and wait on him to give me everything that I need. And if that's you today, if Yahweh is talking to you today and been talking to you today, and that's why you're here today, welcome. You're in a place with no judgment. You're in a place of love. And I have been walking this walk going into my 8th year. And it's the best thing I ever did in my whole life. Why do I know more than these gurus out there? Because I'm plugged into the source. When you want to know where the wisdom is, don't talk to David Straight. Don't talk to me. I can just tell you what Yahweh has done for me. You want to know what to do in your situation? Humble yourself before him. And if he's not listening, humble yourself some more. And if he's still not listening, you know what? You just stay down there in your sackcloth and just cry, 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 and keep crying until he shows up. And trust me, he loves you. He'll show up. 4 days. Be in him. Jacob wrestled with his angel. Well, I wrestled with Yahweh, and it took him 4 days. 4 days. And you know what? He showed up. My life has never been the same since. This is it. So my wisdom comes from him and him alone. If you guys want a part of this, you want to learn how to do this right, the first step is know that we're going to do this the right way. The second step is we're going to do it with Yahweh. And the third step is we're going to finish it. And we're going to win too. Because Yahweh's word never returns void. It never returns with losers. No, no such thing. Because whoever is before you, Yahweh will take them out. There's so many of those out there. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. In closing, thank you so much. If you guys have questions about the upcoming classes, please set up an interview with me. If you've got court stuff going on, set up an interview with me. It's completely free. If you have filed your AOR and written yourself off to this country and you're still here and they haven't carted you out of here yet, please set an appointment with me so they don't. I'm not saying that they will. I'm just because I don't work here. I don't know. But let's just do it so they don't. Let's just cover our bases. Let's just play it safe. Put a condom on, whatever. Let's play it safe, really. Because, I mean, you have so much to lose. And there are people that are flooding in this country right now, willing to commit heinous crimes just to have that citizenship. And I got to tell you, that's your birthright. That's your ticket. And we're very blessed in this country. In spite of all the other bad things that are going on here, we're very blessed. I will not ramble on anymore. I wish you guys all well. I'll see you guys next Monday night, 6 p.m. Central Time. Yahweh bless all of you guys. Bless your homes. All of you guys that are in court right now, I assure you, Yahweh has the answer. It's all done. That's what the Messiah was there for. Be blessed, everyone. Good night.